Welcome to Studium Generale of the TU Delft and the World at War lecture series. My name is Klaas van der Tempel. Our guest today is Alphonse Muambi. He's a journalist and author of the book Democratie kun je niet eten. You Can't Eat Democracy, which is a report of his travels in Congo, monitoring the first democratic elections in the country in over 40 years, which was back in 2006. Together with us in the studio is my colleague Milte Golverdinge. She's off camera for now because of the corona distancing, but we'll be switching places later on during the lecture so that she can ask some questions as well. So today we're going to talk about Western Africa and Congo in particular, and the relationship between conflicts and strategic natural resources in the region. Now, to make that a little less academic, we're going to be talking about how your smartphone, your laptop, and maybe even your parents' electric car, which rely on those resources, contribute to violence and hardship far from home. So, Alphonse, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me today. Thank you very much.
This is a pretty serious topic that we're going to be discussing, and maybe one that's not very well known to many people in the audience. For me as well, I had to do some research, of course, but I've never even set foot anywhere in the continent of Africa. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking maybe you could start us off with a bit of a brief sketch of the current political situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Congo, yes.
DRC for short, and the history that's led to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. So Congo is a big country in Central Africa. It's bigger, 60 times bigger than Holland. And I'm born there in 1968. So, and from there, I was living there. And at certain moment, I go from there to the Netherlands. But the big problem is for this moment, especially for students and everybody who is going to watch this interview, is that we are facing with this big pandemic. Everybody stays home, curfew, and all these things. But for me, curfew and staying home was normal thing when I was child. When I was 10 years old, I was staying home because outside there were militaries, soldiers from all over the world. French soldiers, Moroccan soldiers, American soldiers. So as a child, I was like, what is going on here in my country, in my city, the Katanga, Lubumbashi? That's where I was born. And when I become old and making search, going to school and opening eyes, so that's why I discover that all these soldiers coming there was not coming because they wanted to give us chocolate or whatever. They came there because there were minerals. And which kind of minerals? Cobalt, tin, diamond, a lot of kinds of minerals. So that's a little bit the place I'm born. And when you see me working in Europe, talking in Europe, you just want to know, why are you here? And my answer is always, I'm here because someone came there. Because someone came there to take something belonging to me. That cobalt is there. It's not for, maybe, it's not for the Hollands. It's not for Americans, but it's there. So that's the part I'm from. I'm from Lubumbashi. Lubumbashi is not so far from Shinkolobe. And Shinkolobe does not tell you anything. But for me, Shinkolobe is very, very important place for the whole world to know, because uranium, the uranium which the Americans made the atomic bomb to end the Second World War, came from that part of Katanga, Shinkolobe. So, but the people knows about the American, the Hiroshima, Nagasaki, but they don't know about Shinkolobe. So that's the place I come from. It's a big place. It's a war place, careful war always, but it's not because of the people there, but because of the minerals inside of the Congo.
Can you tell us a bit, because minerals were being extracted when you were born, they're still being extracted even well before you were born for World War II. You mentioned the uranium for the atom bombs, but there's an earlier history to it as well that you were talking to us about before we started the interview. It goes back to the 1500s, that especially Europeans coming to the Congo to take resources.
The first European coming to Congo were Portuguese. It was in the 15 years. 15 years. And then when they came, Diego Cao was the first person to discover, when they say, to discover our country, Congo. He came there and he took every present from Joao II, which was the king of Portugal. And then that was the first contact. What did Portugal wanted from Congo? He wanted to have ivory, to have also the slaves. But when they came, they didn't come with the story of having slaves. They came with priests, with Catholic priests.
Right.
So they came with the Bible to say, okay, because at that moment, that was the school. If you want to go to school, that was the Bible. You have to learn the Christianity. So there is a big, rich correspondence between the king of Congo and the king of Portugal at that moment. It's very, very exciting, very respectful how they are corresponding with each other. So you can see that the king of Portugal sent people to the king of Congo to serve the king of Congo. He write him, I send these people to serve you, to give you, to teach also your people in your kingdom. And after a period, so the king of Congo was seeing people being sold from the local people to the priest, the Catholic priest from Portugal. So he was very angry. He said, no, look, how can you allow these people preaching Christianity, everything, and then going to buy and to catch free people, because the slavery exists before. But what was the slavery at that moment? The slavery was like, now you have prisons for people who are making trouble in the society. So that was the kind of slavery there. But the Portuguese, when they came, they didn't say the truth. They didn't say what was the motivation to be there. It was like, we come to help you, like it is now. You know, it's now you have democracy. The West is going to Africa. We bring you democracy. We bring you civilization. We bring you this. That's all these kinds of how to penetrate in Africa, to penetrate to Congo, and to have this value things. So that's the way, the first contact we had with the West world.
Right.
And to conclude this part of the story, the king of Congo wrote a letter to the king of Portugal to say, no, I don't need you to have these people from here, free people, to make them slaves. I want to stop with it. But he get a letter after 2 years in which the king of Portugal said, no, the slaves we are having are not coming from your kingdom. They are from outside of your kingdom, and there are many, many people there. So this was to make clear how is the diplomacy, how the diplomacy started, because they exchange also the ambassadors at that moment in 1500. Can you imagine? And after that, the French came. After that, the Dutch came to see the king of the Congo. And there was a moment that the Dutch people did a coalition between them and the Congolese king to fight the Portuguese from Congo at that period. So that's the rich history we have with Europe, between Congo and Europe.
It's a long history. This is going back to 1500, and with this kind of give and take, with a little bit of give and a lot of take.
Yes.
But eventually, I mean, there's a kingdom in Congo, but eventually there's a colony, the Belgians.
That came very, very later. And what was the trouble when the king of Portugal was involved in this kingdom? So it was like when the king of Congo was not agree with the slavery and all these things. So Portugal started to make trouble between the tribes, you know, say, yeah, this tribe is against the king, etc., etc. So the war started. After that, so let's come to 1885. Then we have the Conference of Berlin, where a lot of countries, European countries and the US, came together. And when they came together, they divided Africa among them. And they give the responsibility, the leading of the Congo, to this guy, Leopold II, King Leopold II, the king of Belgium at that moment. And who are the powerful? And the aim of giving that country to him was like, this is our company. This is our company. We Europeans, we European states, and the US. So it was like the EU of now, but in Africa. It's you can move there. You are free of movement, free of goods. We don't need passport. We don't need to. We can have handle. We can handle in everything there. Right. Trade. We can trade there. So nobody can make trouble to anybody. So Congo is for all of us. That was the agreement.
All of us Europeans.
Yes, agreements between Europeans who were at Berlin. Yeah. The Netherlands were also there. They signed. There is a big agreement on that. So from that moment, the king, Leopold II, had the direction of Congo. Of course, he had also his own people sending there to make contract. There are people who made contract, local people made contract with European without knowing they were signing on paper in Germany, in English, without knowing the language. So they signed, okay, I give all of this to Leopold, to the King Leopold, to the king. And then after years, when you go and read it, so you discover that the guy gave my city, Katanga, the whole province, to Leopold II. And that is, that logic is from that moment to now. Because when you discuss, you say, when you say, no, this is my country, this is my city, this is my cobalt or my coltan or whatever mineral, they will come with that paper to say, no, you have signed here. And what happened was that King Leopold was not serious with the agreement they took in Berlin. He was leading the country as if it was his own country, and he had problems with Holland, with Britain, and they started to have war. And then you have the campaign coming from England. So Leopold, the king, is not good, because what was the problem then? We had, the world needed the rubber to make car tires. So, and that's why Leopold II, the king, put a lot of Congolese in the bush for looking of this rubber, and that was the first role of Congo in the world, making car tires. And the second was that uranium of the atomic bomb. And then now we have Congo, we need Congo for smartphones, for the all technology we have now, and the electric cars we need.
So since the 1500s, Europe, United States, Western countries, whenever they needed a particular resource to drive, the world economy and our technology, Congo had it. Ivory, you mentioned the rubber,
Mm-hmm.
And the uranium.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last few decades, it's kind of exploded. There's thousands of resources, minerals, conflict resources, as they're now known, in the ground in all over the Congo, or is it specifically specific regions? Because it's a very big country.
Congo, everywhere you are in Congo, you have certain mineral.
Yeah.
When we are talking about cobalt, coltan, what we need for all these things in our studio, even the lights. So it's coming from the eastern of Congo, from north part of Congo, Kisangani, passing by Ituri, Goma, Kivu, and Katanga, where I'm from. And then you have the central part of Congo, where you have more diamonds. It is explosive of diamond there. And you have the west part of Congo, where you have oil, petrol. So everywhere in Congo you have also. But it's not only Congo who has these resources.
Right.
All of Africa has resources. If you see now, for instance, Mali, Niger, Chad, we have there French soldiers with Barkhane. The Barkhane is a France battalion. They are there since, I think, 10 years now. So they are there fighting against the jihadism, terrorists. These are official reasons. I want that students, especially your students from the TU Delft, knows this, because when you are busy with the technology, when you are busy with these minerals, you need to know where these things are coming from and in which of circumstances they take it. So I have a lot of conversations with professors from Mali, from Niger, even from France about these issues. And they tell me it's not about terrorism. It's not about jihadism. Because when they say they are terrorists, when they say they are jihadists, 10 years ago, the terrorists were 200. And they're still, the French soldiers, American soldiers, Dutch soldiers, still looking for that 100 terrorists from 10 years until now. And this mission, military mission of France, Force Barkhane and MONUSMA, cost 1 billion a year. So why is France or Europe ready to spend 1 billion a year to go there, fight terrorists for Africans? So they love Africans very much.
And they hate Islam.
So,
these are also former French colonies? Mostly?
Yes. Mali is from French colony. It's in the west of West Africa. Niger is French colony. Chad, French colony. And the most important problem to know is that all these colonies, the presidents who are there, because in the past, colonization, slavery, that was Europeans who were going there to colonize and to do everything directly. But now they are doing from contracting with local people, what they are calling presidents. President of Mali, president of this. Those people are not presidents. Those people, they are put there to make a relay, to make a contact between them and the French West world.
Right, to keep it business as usual.
Yes.
So it's easier to extract the resources.
Yes.
Yes.
For the economy. And then you mentioned there that I was an observer of the elections in Congo. You know how these things are happening. So the elections came there, they are financed by, they are paid by the West. Everything is paid by the West. And then the president who is coming there, who can he claim that he is chosen by the people? Because the people, the local people, do not pay the elections. So when the West pay for you the elections, do you think that you are president there? No, they put you there. And when they want to remove you, they will say, this man is become the dictator. So we are going to hold new elections so that the people can choose another one.
Right.
And then the other one is just their people who they are putting there.
This is a pretty cynical situation.
Yeah, it is.
Can we talk a moment about the conditions that you mentioned? Because we've talked about the different resources that are being mined there, but under what conditions and what does it have to do with conflict? That's my last question for now, and then I'm going to switch to my co-host. So you have mines all over Congo. There's reports of child labor, slavery. There's lots of rebel movements. Can you explain a bit about those conditions under which these resources are being extracted?
You have a lot of rebels who are active in the Congo, in Mali, and everywhere. We have another country, forgotten conflict, that is in Central African Republic. There are also French soldiers there. And also the UN peacekeepers, they are there. But since they are there, there is no peace. They are keeping peace. But what you have to do with this conflict, we have a lot of rebels. You said that Bosco Ntaganda was sentenced here in
yesterday by the International
Criminal Court.
He was a Congolese warlord.
He is Congolese, Rwandese, and it's not clear who he is. But also that kinds of trailers are not very clear for people here, people from outside, because the people who are doing these things, I've said it, are presidents there. And every politician has also his own rebels in the jungle. Because the more you have rebels, the more you have the power, the more you can control. And the more you have rebels, the more you have also international contact, because you are supplying these minerals to the international, even politicians, and to multinationals, big company. When we are going to talk about the child labor or killing of people, raping of people, so it's very important to know that the students, the people here, citizens of all over the world, must be aware of the situations there. Because we, journalists, we don't tell the truth. Maybe politicians need your vote, they will not tell you the truth, but journalists must do the right work. That's very important to know. Because when you see me walking around here, you can say, oh, this is a refugee coming from Africa to have our money, to have our job. The money is there. The money comes from Africa, a lot of money. But what we see on the TV is only children from Africa begging for money, save the children, give this, UNICEF. That's not the true Africa people need to know. They need to know the real Africa with these minerals. That's very, very important.
Thank you. I'm going to cede the floor to my co-host Meerte, who has some questions for you as well. And I'll be back in a moment.
Thank you, class. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your story so far. I was wondering, we were talking about all those, the stuff that's happening in the mines with the children working there, but also the conflict there. It feels a bit far away, and then you tell us that no, it is something that we as the Western countries and USA are maybe make that happen. but is it also something that I, as a person here in Delft, as a student, having a cell phone, using a laptop, using the techniques all around me, do I have a responsibility? Can I do something? Or is the responsibility somewhere at the government level or maybe the companies that are using them? What's your vision on that?
I want to bring it here in Holland. Bert Koenders was Minister of Development here, was a Dutch minister. I was talking with him for several times. He was involved in the situations in Congo, sending money to solve the conflict. But the way he was saving the conflict was not the way to save the conflict. How did he do that? When there were rebels, groups of rebels in Congo, and the solution from Bert Koenders, from the Dutch government, was, okay, we will send the money to bring these people together to save the conflict. And that means to take these rebels people, to put them in the national army. So can you imagine someone who killed, who raped, who do all the bad things you can ever do? You take him, you put him in the national army. Of course, they say we will train them, we'll do. You cannot train a rebel to take him and put him there. So he did that with your money, with my money. It's not far from here. It's your money, my money. Because those rebels, when they are in the national army, it's like they infiltrate the army. And when they have, they can create another group, and then from the national army, they give the information, and so that is how they're keeping this war. Bert Koenders is here. So he knows what I'm talking about. Was he serious to say that he was going to solve this conflict? I don't think so. Was he naive? I don't think so. But he knows that if we solve this part of problem like this, after 10 years, after 20 years, these people will fight each other again, and they will come back to us. We will go again to solve these conflicts. So it's like sustainable conflict.
A cycle that repeats itself.
Yes.
And keeps Congo dependent on
yes.
the West.
Yes. And those are things that people here in the West must know. And how to do that? Because you told me about, you asked me about having a cell phone, etc., etc. We cannot without. But you can decide, you can vote. And when you vote, you have to go and read which program by which political party want to change the world, your world. And that's the way. It's not only taking money, sending to Congo, sending to Africa. That money will never save Africa. Your vote can save Africa. Your critical manner of seeing the things, how politicians how the relationship they have with Africa is very, very important.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we're talking about that circle of dependence. Do you see also a way to break that? Not by sending money, just to fix it. But are there other ways maybe for us as the West, but maybe also for me as a person to contribute to breaking this cycle of dependence? Being critical to the government, but also what can a government do to do that? Do you see perspective there?
Yes, the perspective will come look, what we are doing here, this talk
Yeah.
is a big contribution to the change. Because maybe someone will watch this, maybe he doesn't know this before, because the journalists in the West, especially in the Netherlands, do not talk about these kind of things. Maybe the one who is talking, the crazy who is talking about these things, instead of talking about giving money, sending money to Africa, I'm telling people these things. And also, you can see how, because all of us, we are consumers. We need all these tablets. We need to make also conditions how to produce this. There is a time that when Obama was in power, he conditions the companies were American's company, to justify that in their products, not something from Congo, from the conflict area, must be there. You have to prove that.
Yeah.
And I think those are maybe things we can also use here in the Netherlands, in the Parliament, in the European Parliament. And also we need to share the wealth, because the money in our wallet now, we don't know where it's coming from. Maybe you are working and you get your salary, but the massa of money is coming from all over the world. It's the globalization. Now we have the gain of the globalization. We can call all over the world for free. We can have conversations like this. We send it all over the world. We have the benefit of this globalization. We can fly, going there, working everywhere. But the money we are gaining from all over the world, we have to see how to govern that with the people from everywhere. We cannot only have the benefits, and the people who are making that happen, we say, no, you don't belong to us. You have to go back. You are here, you are Asylzoeker, refugee, that kinds of things. I think if we are aware of that, if we can vote for good things, if we can also write to the politicians, then we can have a little bit change.
Okay. And you're talking about having those regulations on using conflict resources or not. There are some voices in the discussion that say, well, if you do that, then those people do not get any money at all. And then the most poor people there that are working in very bad circumstances that didn't earn a lot, don't earn anything at all. And so we cannot do those regulations have also bad outcomes. What do you think about that vision?
If I come in this studio, I steal this camera.
Yeah.
And I say, if I don't steal, so I will never have money. So it can be a reason, So whenever you want to do things, you will have a reason, to give a reason, to say, no, if we are not there, they cannot take coltan or whatever to put on the table and to eat. No, that's not the way to think. You have to think like you want to be treated. When you are home, you need a warm home. You need a house. You need food. Why not another person for that? So, and the benefit we are making is big. Is big. Because these things, these minerals, when they are going to take it from there, they are not proportion of benefits. It's 1 cent for maybe $1,000. So if you can give by the source of the minerals, even 100, even 10% of what you are getting from there, we can have a solution. We can have a solution because we are in a world of capital, of benefit, of frustrations, everything. People want to have a lot of money. Okay, but you can also give that money back where you get it from. It's very good.
Yeah. So you say we have to also give the people what they earn from the devices we are using.
You have to pay the price.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, an honest price for the work they do and for...
Honest price will never exist. I think I have to be realistic. You see a coffee of this realistic price. No, I think that we can share in some proportion that because the people need the basic things, wherever it is, in China, in Congo, in Europe, you need to go to school. You need to have food. You need a house. And you need to be safe. And we have to stop with this propaganda of putting Africans on TV, begging for money, begging for this. That's nonsense. I think this is the way to hide the reality, to hide the truth.
Yeah. It's a way to hide that they are not asking for money, but they deserve to have the payment for what they give to us in that way.
Yes, that's the no, it's more than that, because when you see this, I insist about this propaganda on TV, because it's a barrier between the true, the really the big situation, and what the people must know. So this, what for us, what is important to know is that when we can pay the price, even if it's small price, it's very important. We need to share the money we benefit from these minerals of people there. That's very important.
Yeah. And is that also maybe the way to get peace between, maybe in Congo itself, but also frictions between the country and the West?
Yeah, because when you we are now in the global world. When you have peace in Congo, you have the rest of the world will have profit on that. How? You will have less refugees coming here. You will have less terrorists coming here, because terrorists are doing these jobs where they are going to, they need all these poor people. They give them money and go and bomb, and we will give the money to your family. Those things happen in Niger, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and everywhere. So you will gain that. And also, people from Europe, when there is peace, people from Europe can go there in Africa to work there. You can go there to invent new technology. You can go there, you can do beautiful things. It's very nice to have peace. The peace is not only for local people, the peace is for global people, for you, for me, for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have then, that would also be for not only Congo, I figure, but also for like all the other countries that have high resources, high values, high research values in their countries. That would also help them to, if we say we give an honest price, then we can have more peace around the world, and not only like maybe in the rebel groups in Congo, but like in other countries as well.
Yes. Africa has 54 countries, big countries. So, and almost all of them, they have minerals. And we can say, okay, we give a nice price for minerals. And the price, that money, will go to the president, who is not a president, but who is an agent of the West. So also we need to do that. We need to work on this, what they call democracy, elections paid by the West. If we give only the money and we don't push the politicians on the both sides, South and West, to do the job they need to do, we will never solve anything. So the money, yes, but also politicians must do right things from here in the West, but also from Africa.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure how we are in time, but I think it's time for our maybe last question. And that is, do you have hope for the Congo to develop as a, we already talked about it, to develop as a country that can have that equal relation with giving and taking, like maybe they had in the 1500s with the West?
If we gain even 10%, I will be happy. But I have hope because Congo is an international country. It's a big country. It has a big, many resources, and that's why I want to put it in the middle of the world, with talks, with conference, with everything. And I will also say that it's not only Congo. The peace of Congo is the peace of the Netherlands, the peace of France, the peace of the US. So I have hope, and I need everybody to spread this word of hope about not only Congo, not only Africa, but about the whole world.
Okay. Thank you very much for this talk. Thank you very much for your story as well.
Thank you, Mirte, for having me. Thank you.
And thank you also at home for watching this talk. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you're also going to think about your choices in politics, but also for your devices and where they're coming from. And in the World at War series, we also have other lectures on the war of today. So I will invite you at our website to look at the Studium Generale website or at the social media. And there you can find all the other lectures we have. And I hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.